Wow. Welcome to Targeted, the show where we expose masculinity and success. And I'm your host, Atlas Aultman, former military commander, director of special operations communications, and just all-around good guy. We are not a dying breed. We have a lot of ground to cover, from strength to writing to inner focus. You have what it takes, and I'm about to bring it out through the stories of the people that have already done it. Welcome. This is Targeted.
All right. Reid Novotny.
Hey, good to see you today.
So you're at Barksdale. You met some good people.
Did.
How did you go about meeting people on your first assignment that you thought maybe this is going to be garbage? Like, I know your mindset is, well, I'm here.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm here. How did that translate to, all right, there's probably some other people that feel like I do.
Of course.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I was assigned a sponsor, of course, right? So when you get somewhere in the military, usually they'll give you someone who's about your rank to kind of shepherd you around the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I still remember him to this day, and I haven't talked to him in a long time, which is bad on me. But Jose Hernandez, great American. He was a lieutenant, but a year in front of me, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And kind of the funny story is we're there about a week and we're walking around, we're meeting all these people, and I'm the same me, right? So I'm aggressive. I'm trying to fix things. I'm like jumping into programs and projects, and just talking to people. And so our senior enlisted people start calling us Pinky in the Brain.
Pinky in the Brain.
Pinky in the Brain. It was kind of cool, like especially these
cartoons.
Cartoon. Yep. And I always tell this story in the sense that I was not Pinky. So I felt bad. I felt bad that this guy had been there a year in front of me.
Terrible thing to say.
I do feel bad. But they're like, we've known this one guy for a year. You're the guy, the new lieutenant, new second lieutenant.
Yeah.
You're the brain of this operation. So I was humbled and joked. And of course, this guy, he's a great guy, but like, he got out of the Air Force about 2-3 assignments, and great American, doing good things somewhere else. But like, again, it was funny. But I kept pressing forward, and we kept on getting more people. We have these people like Mike Majessi, who you know well, Ray Champion, who got there too.
Okay.
Jim Coughlin was there.
Yep.
These are all communicators in our field. Good bosses at the time too, so that was great. But really, what was interesting is these people who were second lieutenants with me. I got stationed with them once, twice, 3 times, 4 times.
Yeah.
And then we still talk on a daily basis.
It's amazing how you can collect family from the weirdest places, isn't it?
It is.
And then you went out and you met somebody. Can you talk to me about that journey?
So I'm assuming you're talking about how I met my wife.
Yes, I am.
Oh my God.
Not about your first experiences with getting drug offered. None of that.
No, that was whole different
the
story.
Actual good stuff.
The good stuff. So I ran out of Barksdale as quick as I could because I wanted to make a difference. I got back to DC, worked at this big agency in Crystal City. First lieutenant, I applied for this job that said captains to lieutenant colonels are allowed. Sat down with a great mentor of mine, talked to him all the time still, Gene Mattingly. He sat me down similar to this in our cafeteria.
Yeah.
And he looked at me with the fear of God, and he's a very religious man, the fear of God. And he said, "What makes you so special that you can come and work in my group?" And I was totally flabbergasted, right? And why he would ask me this question. Again, it was in the director's action group. So working directly for a 3-star general.
Yep.
And it was awesome. Like Gene, love him to death. He is part of my family now, and he always will be, at my wedding, at my promotions, all those kind of things. Yeah. So immediately after that, I'm there for a year, and I go up to be General Radigi at the time, 3-star communicator, head communicator in the Air Force and the Department of Defense. His aide de camp, which basically means I follow him around, make sure his stuff is straight. Got lots of stories about that.
By the way, aides are people who usually get picked up for larger jobs, which again, we're going to go into that. But it did come true. Aides are a miracle thing if they're done well.
That's right.
If they're not, then that's a different story.
For
another time, not for you though.
Oh yeah.
So
no, you can. It's a high visibility job where
it is.
You can fall quickly or rise quickly from those jobs. So So there we are. General Radigan and I are at a trade show because, people want to sell their wares to this big organization. So I'm walking around behind him and I remember this obviously to this day, what Lauren Marie was wearing, the exact conference we were at in Dallas, Texas. She walks around the corner and I said, I need to meet that person. Literally, I need to meet that person. So she finds her way over to me and I'm like, oh, this is great. She doesn't want to talk to me. Of course, right? I'm the guy holding the bags for the 3-star general. She doesn't even know. She doesn't even know what a 3-star general is. That's fine. She was just there for work. But she told her boss at the time, she said, I'm going to get a picture for my trip report with the highest ranking person there. I was not the highest ranking person there.
So you blocked her. You're like,
No.
whoa,
No.
lady.
I was like, whoa. Let me take that picture. And this is before iPhones. And then let me send you that picture. So I gotta look at the camera a little bit. Oh, you had me. You had me. She did not have me yet. She was like, he's trying to be a nice guy. And I was like, yes, I'm trying to get married to you.
I'm being a very nice guy.
I'm being a very nice
reason.
18 years, 19 years ago, because we dated for a while, but 18 years ago recently. But I remember like it was yesterday. And, we've been through a lot, as most marriages do, but she keeps me humble and allows me to do crazy.
All right,
which is what we do.
Let's sidetrack on that because this is a problem I think a lot of men have. So she allows you to be crazy.
That's right. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's what you said. So I think you put it correctly. How does she allow you to be crazy? Do you tell her I'm going to be crazy? And she's like, I'll allow it. Or do you go, I was just crazy? And she goes,
yeah. So,
okay, I allow that. But how does it work for you?
Well, again, you have to define crazy. So crazy is some of the things we've done in our careers where you're going to move forward and take risk.
Yeah.
And we're a family unit at this point. Now, today, we were before. But I would say things like I would come home and say, hey, for my career, I need to go and deploy. Right. I don't have the deployment experience you do. We can talk about that type of anxiety too. But and I come home one day and I say, I want to quit our great job that we've had, being on active duty in the United States Air Force. But you need to allow me to do this. And I don't say you need to. I say, what are we doing here? Yeah. And she has always been that rock in which she has a very stable job. Love it. Mm-hmm. She keeps our home great and stable and keep moving forward. And I just say, trust me. Yeah. Allow me to do crazy. This is not about going out and drinking late at night. That's not the crazy.
That's not crazy.
It's about.
That's stupid.
There you go. That's stupid. The craziness I'm talking about is I have this dream I'm going to go after. I have this next task I'm going to go after. I'm going to get into politics or public service. I'm going to go make general. I'm going to lean forward I'm leaning forward into things, but I can't do that if my, wife is distressed, if my daughter's distressed, I can't do that. She allows me to do that crazy.
I love that. I think that your choice of a spouse is one of the most important things that you can do as a man. And that person should be the crazy person with you. It should be with you though, you know, and it sounds like she's not allowing you to do it. She's with you on it. And I think that's truly magical. And, every relationship has problems. And as long as you don't find the problem being another dude's in your room, trying to, the problem can be probably overcome as long as there's no cheating or whatever. It's hard for a lot of people to realize that there is life beyond lust, especially at a young age. So whenever you can find somebody that does the crazy with you, I like how you put that. I think that's magic and it should be fought for. And I commend you guys. 18 years is no small feat. The amount of divorces is 70% now in America. So it's becoming an option more than I think it ever has been. And I think we've seen a lot more divorces because of things that, we expose ourselves to.
Of course.
And that's a choice. So I'm going to get off of that. Okay. So you're Barksdale. And then you go. We did some time in Hawaii. That's where I worked for this man, and
it was a joint effort.
I used to come in, and so you got deployed.
I did.
So you came out. You were my boss, and then you said, "I'm leaving."
Yeah.
See a deputy, and you got it. And you came back and I started briefing you at high speed. I was like, this is going on. This is going on. This is going on. You're like, calm down. You remember that? You're like, why do you care about this, this, and this? We should be working on this. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Talk about your journey. So you got out to Hawaii. Everyone's in Hawaii. Island time is a thing in Hawaii where people
oh my God.
do whatever they want on certain
Coming in
days.
flip-flops, got it.
Yeah. But like all that didn't happen. You showed up, you're like, I want to go deploy. So how did that opportunity come about?
So I went to my boss at the time, Christian Baz, good guy, deputy squadron commander at the time. And I said, hey, look at my records. He's an awesome below the zoner, multiple awards, went to the academy, all this greatness. I said, look at my record. He said, the one thing you're missing is actually deployment time. And I said, great. I've been in the right place at the wrong time, wrong place at the right time, whatever you want to say, because they don't deploy someone who's like an aide de camp. Like, got it. Yeah. So I come to him, I say, I go home, I ask my wife, I said, I want to do this. She's like, you need to do this. I come back in. And this is where there's a little bit of like survivor's guilt, and we can talk through where, and like seriously, like obviously you understand like what I'm going to talk about, but like I go into our UDM, the unit deployment manager, and I said, I'm ready. Bazball sitting next to me. I'm ready. Let's go. This young captain, I'm trying to think of my rank at the time. Young captain needs to go downrange. Tech sergeant pulls it up. And he goes, great. He's already coded for a deployment. And I said, all right, awesome. Where? And they said, CENTCOM headquarters.
Yep. But
your audience might not know where that is, right?
That's in Florida, guys.
Tampa. It's Tampa Stan.
Tampa Stan. But most of the war, like behind him, is what was happening while we were trying to figure out where all the terrorists were.
Of course.
That was terrorists finding headquarters.
It was.
It was a big deal, and to put that overseas was not something we could do as Americans. So it was a huge mission. But you thought you had it in your head, well, this isn't as good as going somewhere else. Why would you think that?
Why would I think that?
Yeah, just go there. Let's go there.
Yeah, this is hard to talk about, right?
I know, that's why we're going
there. My older brother, retired civil engineer, colonel.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time in the Middle East, right? We have friends who have been there. I have friends from Barksdale actually who have passed over there.
Yeah.
Got it. When I wanted to be part of the fight, because we all signed up with the same oath, I was expecting to go downrange like all my other captain friends.
Yeah.
I got to CENTCOM headquarters and I was very I'm not in the fight. I just, we were wearing the deserts, but like I was in Florida.
Yeah.
And that it still bothers me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was doing my part, but it just feels different.
Well, anyone who raises their right hand to support a community, to put out fires, to stand up and their life in a sacrifice mode, doesn't get to make the choices on where that is. So I just want everyone to know, setting the record straight, I didn't choose to go overseas multiple times. It was something that was offered to me, or I got pulled out there, but it wasn't something that we get to go and choose. They put you where they need you. And for you, as the brain, not Pinky, putting you at the brain engine makes the most sense for any organization that is the biggest one in the world.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I wasn't surprised whenever you told me you're going there. I'm like, yeah, that's where they send all the big brains. Why would you go anywhere else?
Yeah.
I mean,
honestly, this is the best therapy. We should be on the couch at the This is the best therapy I've had in a decade or two. So this is great.
No, then you went to the Pentagon.
Yes.
And then your mindset, it changed a little bit. I want to go into the Pentagon, the halls of the Pentagon, all of that. I want to, but I don't have any of that experience. So I can't really help you elaborate on any of that.
Yeah.
But talk about, what is the mindset of someone at the Pentagon?
So twofold.
You're still there. So
twofold, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting outside. Well, right now I'm stationed at Andrews, right outside the Pentagon.
Yeah.
But I go there about once a week. So there's two different types of attitudes that you go to the Pentagon. And I'm assuming you and the audience can probably figure out mine. One is, oh my God, I'm going to the Pentagon. There's terrible traffic, long hours,
People always look at
a
that.
lot of PowerPoint, and it's just, it's not the real, and fill in your blank, military, Army,
Yeah.
Navy, Air Force. It's not the real, right?
Yeah.
There's another attitude. If you go there and you make a change, the Air Force has about 600,000 active duty reserve people.
Yeah.
If you go there and you make a change, that ripple effect that you push out
Yeah.
changes 600,000 people's lives.
It's a huge deal.
It is a huge deal.
It's not only that, how many billions of dollars
Oh,
in
yeah.
assets is that responsible?
Oh yeah. The last time I looked at something, when we were just doing the IT budget of the Air Force, something like $19 billion that we were spending every year.
Yeah.
So I'm going in. This is a perfect example of the two mindsets, right? We're in this auditorium in the newcomers orientation, the second time around when I went to the Pentagon.
Yep.
And this lieutenant colonel's up in the front.
Yeah.
This lieutenant colonel's up at the front, and he is obviously part of the first group of people, not the second group of people.
Yeah.
And he goes, "How many people volunteered to come to the Pentagon? Raise your hand." He says it very sarcastically to obviously not get anyone to raise their hand.
Yeah.
And I did. One of like 75, like 04s and 05s, majors and lieutenant colonels sitting there. And I raised my hand. And he just stopped. He's like, no one ever raises their hand when they do this. And they're like, why? And I said, a difference made here, something we do here can change the entire Department of Defense. Something, it can and it does every day if you show up with that attitude. And he was like, all right, got you. And he just kept on going with his brief because he just didn't believe that I fully believe that, still do.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You were working for a couple high-ranking individuals for a while.
That's right.
And then you published an article that kind of surprised me. And you told everyone, after a long time, some would say, serving the country, I've decided to step away and forego a multi-million-dollar retirement package and probable promotion early and choice jobs and medical and dental. And I'm just going on because this is what everyone thinks about whenever
golden parachute.
Yeah, they think, oh my gosh, I have this. I don't want to screw it up. But you thinking forward like you do, you thought different. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So really, I was pushed out of the military and pulled into doing something different. Sitting next to those people who were the quintessential employees that show up, take their hour lunch break, and then go home at 4:30.
Yeah.
Like sitting next to that person and saying, we're getting paid the same.
Yeah.
And it's not about money, but we're getting the same level of respect in life.
Yeah.
And you're doing the bare minimum. And I, get here 2 hours early. I leave 2 hours late. I work through my lunch. And it's not about me, but it's like, hey, I want to do more. Like, I don't want the reps and sets at the Pentagon every single day to be the end all be all. So yeah, you're right. I want to tell one story as how people people actually affects life. So I'm going to bring you back really quick and then go forward. When I was the aide de camp to General Radke, I replaced this guy who was having an affair with an airman, the captain, having an affair with an airman. The spouse, now divorcee, obviously, and she's remarried, great people, found me in the Pentagon one day and just said, what did I do wrong? All the guilt that we've kind of talked about and divorce and all these kind of things. I said, nothing. I barely know this other person. Nothing. So I talked to her maybe 15 minutes. Now, fast forward to 2016 and a half, almost 17, 2016. I'm a lieutenant colonel. I got this in my brain that I need to do something more than being, no offense, just a lieutenant colonel. I want to do more. I want to do this and that and this. Like, I want to expand and just be my crazy, right? And she's like, hey, I think I remember you. And then we reconnect in the hallway outside the dry cleaner. You know what I'm talking? Oh, you haven't been to the Pentagon.
I've been in the Pentagon like 5 times.
Yeah, outside the dry cleaner in the Pentagon. She just stopped me. She's like, oh yeah, Reid, great to see you. Great to see you. What's going on with you? And I just had these thoughts in my brain. I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about getting out of the Air Force. I'm thinking about joining the National Guard. And she said, that's okay. I'm going to introduce you to my best friend in the world. who is like the deputy group commander, the number 2 in charge of this group.
Yeah.
And you're going to go sit down with this person. So that chance encounter 17 years before, almost 10 years before, with some person that I just gave a little bit of time to, fast forward to walking by her in the Pentagon, which 30,000 people or so work there every day.
It's
walking
powerful.
by her actually pushed me to get into to have that connection to go into the Guard.
Yeah.
So back to like
That's
how
super powerful.
15 years, 4 months, 3 days of active duty, 15 years, 4 months, 3 days. So almost to that 3 million plus evaluation for retirement and healthcare and all those kind of things. But I wanted to do something more. And that person that I had met that many years before gave me that connection into the National Guard. And then I started running after it, making it happen.
All right. I'll put the article in the show notes. It's worth reading. It made me think a lot. So that decision wasn't made lightly.
Not at all.
So who did you involve in making that decision?
So very few people.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, why.
Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Very few people.
Why very few people?
Very few people. So in the military, there's a lot of precedents. If you've done well, you'll do well. If you start winning, you want to win. You got to keep winning. People look at your records. You come in as a winner, the number one of. People want to keep that tradition going, and they want to make you the number one. So I was a chief in the CIO's office for the Air Force, and I was his chief of staff. So like kind of a number 2 guy, right? Sitting underneath him, running his organization on his behalf. I did not tell that individual until I was already out the door, basically, and like, I love him. General Bender's great people. I just saw the deputy, Mr. Marion, the other day. They're great people, great mentors of mine. But what happens if you start telling people like, I think I'm about to, in their words, quit, in my words, go pursue something different. And I don't even want to say better, just different. They will write you off. So I only involved my family, to include my older brother, who's, almost 25 years in, when he retired, and my wife, of course. And she gave me great guidance. She said, I will support this, put in crazy. I will support this, of course, because I want you to be happy. This is going to be good for the family, as long as you make at least lieutenant colonel pay. And we're good. That was the only bar she gave me. Stipulation. Keep making some money for the family. And then let's go after this dream that you have.
But not everyone sees the world like that. They see potential failure. They see, they might have to give up something. And that scares a lot of people, a whole lot of people. Were you scared during that moment?
I don't know if scared's the right word.
What is the right word?
Hypervigilant.
Hypervigilant.
If that's 2 words, probably.
That's hyphenated.
It's hyphenated. Let's go with hyphenated. All right.
Allow it.
All right. So, but again, scared is probably the wrong word, but nervous, all those kind of things. I had never been in the commercial sector. Basically, I worked at the college, whatever, computer store, but never been in a real world job. So I had to get that. I had to find a job in the Guard, or I would lose my entire retirement.
Yeah, which you didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to do that. All that investment of time and effort. And then I had to go after my public service, my politics area. So I was hyper vigilant. I mean, I was, doing the stereotypical me, which is, there's prioritization of life, right?
Yeah.
So if you need to get something done and it means sacrificing money or time or sleep or whatever it is,
it's happening.
Yeah, it's a decision, right? It's a decision. So I was sleeping not a lot. That's fine. But I was going after things and figuring it out and setting it up. First job I ever got was with Christian Basball. He hired me, right? It's people.
Yeah.
It's all about people. He hired me right out of there. So, hypervigilant is what I would say.
I like that. When you went into your new roles out of active duty, there was a promotion. Can you talk about like someone who may be on the fence right now? They're thinking, maybe I want to do this. It seemed to work out for one person, you. Maybe I want to do this.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because I've seen it twice now. 2 of my friends have gone the same route. And whenever they go and find a job, they usually find a job that is another rank. Is that what happened with you?
So initially I came in, not to complicate it pour more risk onto this, but this is great. This is a great story that what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But of the jobs that they had open in the Maryland Air National Guard, they had a singular job in the rank of 04, major. I was an 05.
Yep.
So I literally, signed the paperwork that said, if you do not find an 05 job within the next 2 years, we are kicking you out of the military. And then you're done. Like, I don't have a retirement, all that kind of stuff. So like, this is something I didn't know. And I brought home to the wife, like, hey, do you realize I'm taking just a little bit more risk? Just keep on going. Just a little bit more risk. But like, I trusted in, my ability to prove my worth to this new organization.
Yeah.
So, within a couple of months, I started moving up. I went from being a project officer to the deputy group commander under that person who hired me, Jory. It's great people, still a mentor and a friend.
Yeah.
So I moved up to the deputy group commander. That was a great position. And then let's rewind Ray Champion back into my life. He actually was a squadron commander for an experiment in the Air Force where they had a guard colonel be a wing commander down where he was a squadron commander in Florida. Every time he would go and socialize drink with this general or this colonel who retired as a 2-star general, say, I only know one person in the Guard. He's like, I only know one person in the Guard. And it's Reid Novotny. He's from Maryland. You're from Maryland. You need to meet him. So when I walk up to April Vogel and I say, hey, I'm Reid Novotny, she gives me a huge, huge hug.
Yeah.
And then she looks at me and she's like, oh yeah, Champ's been talking about you for 2 years.
Yeah.
You need to like do things. And she goes, you need to go apply for this job. Okay, go. I went and applied for that job, and it was the head DIO type person for the Maryland Guard, the J6, and that was a promotion.
Yes.
I had been a lieutenant colonel maybe 3 years, and all of a sudden I'm a colonel very quickly.
Yeah. That's something that a lot of people don't understand is, it's going to be dicey. If you're going to make a call like that, which you did, it's not going to be guaranteed, and you have to work.
Of course.
People think that when they see success that it was given to them without seeing the magic that goes behind the curtain to make something like that happen. There's a lot of personal fortitude that has to happen in everyone. And I saw that, but no one's ever educating anyone in the process. So did you have a mentor during that process besides General Vogel? Is it someone else that you were reaching out to maybe help you?
There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 people that really have helped me through this process. And I'll throw out Jory, as I mentioned. She's the person who hired me as a great mentor. She had similar amounts of time, about 13 years of active duty service, had been a boss multiple times and a friend. And I still say I don't really understand how the Guard works because I came in kind of later in my career. And I will say, I know tech sergeants who have retired at 60 years old. Tech sergeant, right? That's a medium-ish rank in the military. And I know majors who have retired after 20, 25 years. So it's not a given at all is what you're getting at. But like, if you work hard, you prove yourself, you get promoted, which is great. The meritocracy.
The meritocracy, grow where you're planted.
That's right.
I love it. And that's our second session with Reid Novotny. He's an amazing guy, and he's got more coming. Stay tuned for some more Targeted.